Same for the goddaughter.
Dad told me you found something. On a train during the war. A dial that could change the course of history.
Why are you chasing the thing that drove your father crazy?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 5th entry into the Indiana Jones franchise, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. This time round it is not directed by Steven Spielberg. We have James Mangold and it stars, of course, Harrison Ford, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, John Rhys-Davies, Antonio Banderas, Toby Jones, Boyd Holbrook and Mads Mikkelsen. This time round, Indiana Jones essentially is very close to retirement. His adventuring days are long behind him, and he meets up with his goddaughter, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Helena, who is essentially looking for the Dial of Destiny. It's an artifact that essentially can assist you in travelling in time. This is an artifact that we see at the beginning of the film. Indy has had his hands on previously during the war, or certainly part of it. And it essentially sends him off on another final adventure in order to keep this important artifact out of the hands of Mads Mikkelsen's character, this villainous ex-Nazi Dr. Voller, who has got evil intentions. He wants to use this dial in order to travel back and right the wrongs of the war to ensure that the Nazi army wins. Right. What are my thoughts on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny? Well, this film, as it seems these days, you know, it's causing a riot online, you know, and on YouTube and wherever you want to look, really. There's people out there with agendas. There's this whole rhetoric going on around the film, and I find it frustrating watching big movies these days, because it just seems like they are condemned before anybody even set eyes on them, and to be honest, it absolutely frustrates me. Do I think this film is the best Indiana Jones film in the franchise? No, I don't. Do I think it's the worst film in the franchise? No, I don't. I think this is a perfectly good send-off for the character, this legendary character that deserves to get the send-off that that Harrison Ford certainly wants for this character. But since day one, really, there has been issues around this film. And don't get me wrong, when this film was announced, I had my doubts. You know, we all had our doubts in the sense of Harrison Ford's too old. Should he really be returning to Indiana Jones? Why don't they just reboot it? You know, give it Chris Pratt or somebody like that, you know? But no, they went in this direction. And I was perfectly happy with that. I thought, okay, well, let's see what they can do. Because let's be fair, the last one, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, while I don't think that film is anywhere near as bad as it has been made out to be, I remember when that film came out, it was getting good reviews. And then, you know, as time has gone on, it's been, you know, seemingly downgraded, as it happens the other way around with movies as well. Sometimes movies come out and the box office failures, and critics don't like them, and then they grow into cult classics. It can happen the other way as well. And I'm Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, for the most part, is a fairly solid indie film with a questionable decision at the end. This is, for me, a better film than that film. That doesn't, I don't think, put it in the same ballpark as the first three films that are just stone cold classics as far as I'm concerned. But this film, I thought, was hugely entertaining for the most part. I had a ball with it. Just to see Indy back on the big screen again. These are movies that I grew up on. I went to the cinema to see Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time. Way back when I was a young boy, fairly young boy. I was under 10, I think, when when it first came out, when I saw it at the cinema, and it was just such an experience. So films like this are such a big part of my childhood. So there is that nostalgia for me. Sometimes I do look at films like this through rose-tinted glasses. But if I take these glasses off and I judge this film on its merit, yes, it is incredibly silly at times. Yes, there are plot holes in this film that don't necessarily make sense. But you look at any of the other films really in the franchise, and show me where it's not silly. Where things don't necessarily make sense. They don't have to make sense. I personally think modern audiences take films far too seriously. Just sit back, zip your mouth up, watch the film and enjoy it. And I think people are kind of listening to people online and going into a film already being pre-programmed to dislike it. And that's why films are failing at the box office. Films that are undeserving to fail. I massively enjoyed The Flash. That should be doing better at the box office. I hugely enjoyed this film. This hopefully will do well at the box office because this franchise deserves a strong send-off. It's got nothing to do with this whole Disney rhetoric and all this kind of stuff and these people saying that Disney are destroying our favourite franchises. Grow up is what I would say to these people. Just learn to enjoy movies again for what they are, movies. So that's a little bit of my rant out of the way. Do I think everything works in this film? No, I don't. I think there are aspects of this film that I don't think necessarily work. There's an underwater sequence that, for me, did nothing for me at all. I didn't like it. There's a second psychic in the film almost next to Phoebe Waller-Bridge that I don't think the film needed. The Phoebe Waller-Bridge character that there's been much debate about, people with an agenda saying, oh, she's just there to, feminize the movie and take over the franchise and stuff. I mean, it's twaddle, really, isn't it? Her character is frustrating and annoying, but she's meant to be. But I found that I actually warmed up to her character as the film progressed, and she made, I think, for an interesting companion for Indy. At this stage in his life, they're not going to give him a love interest to tag along with him. That's just not what this character needs anymore. So to create the goddaughter and give that as his companion, I thought made absolute sense to me. Much has been said about the CGI at the beginning of the film, the de-aging of Harrison Ford. When you first see it, it's kind of like, wow, that's incredible. And then when he starts moving or he starts doing any of the action with the de-aging stuff, the CGI looks dodgy, to say the least. But I can forgive it because I know it's CGI. I know that's Harrison Ford being de-aged, and they're doing it to give us the prologue to the film, and it makes sense. Is it worth condemning the film for that? No, because it absolutely works, and it gives us a younger Indiana Jones as well, which I thought was really, really nice. Antonio Banderas is completely wasted in the film. He could have been given a lot more to do. I think he's got a real charm on screen, Antonio Banderas, and he can be quite amusing, and his character was just nondescript and it just didn't add anything, I don't think. John Rhys-Davies as Salah was just really a token cameo for the most part. He didn't offer anything to the film. And the film went a long way to answer questions about what happened, why isn't Shia LaBeouf, for example, in this film? What happened to his marriage to Marion? And again, near the end of this film, it takes a twist. Not a twist, a decision is made near the end of this film, very similar to the last one, Crystal Skull, that divided audiences, and I think it will divide audiences as well here in regards to, I don't want to spoil it, obviously. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a spoiler discussion for this film, but I didn't mind it. I thought it worked. You've got a dial of destiny that's supposed to send you back in time, and, let's see it in action, sort of thing. And then there's the ending of the film. I personally liked the ending of this film. Again, and I don't want to spoil it. There are debates. I think that some people would have preferred a different ending, but I liked it because it gave the indie character a resolution, and he kind of came full circle. And you know, if you like, his retirement is going to be a happier one. So yeah, I'm desperately trying not to give spoilers away. And anybody that's seen the film will know what I mean by the ending. I'm a bit of a softie at heart, and I liked the ending that we got, really. So I thought the action was great. I enjoyed the opening, the prologue. I thought for the most part the action was done well. Did Harrison Ford seem over the hill at times? Occasionally, when you see him doing some of the running scenes, you could see he was struggling a bit. But for the most part, you know, he handled the scenes really, really well, and they didn't ignore his age in the film occasionally, which I thought was sensible. So Mads Mikkelsen as well, I thought was an excellent villain. A strong villain for the franchise. I thought he did really quite well. So I was happy with this film. This is, trust me guys, if you're out there watching videos on YouTube or watching people or listening, reading people's comments on Twitter, people are just hating on the film. I guarantee you most of them won't have seen this film yet. And the ones that have been, I think, heavily influenced by others that have kind of pre-programmed them to dislike the film. Please go to the cinema and make your mind up for yourself. If you're a fan of the Indiana Jones franchise, I think you'll come out of the cinema thinking, yeah, I'm happy with the way they've concluded Indiana Jones's arc and story. I thought they did the best they could with an 80-year-old Harrison Ford to finish off this character with a film that he deserved, because, as I've said, many people didn't like the last one, and I think that's certainly a decent film. But I think this film is better than that. So yeah, I had a good time in the cinema with this one, and you know, I'm not afraid to say it. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And I will, of course, be back with loads more content on the channel very, very soon.